Welcome to That Sounds Terrific in the 585. Join hosts Nick Koziel and Christine Green as they spotlight the incredible leaders, visionaries, and innovators shaping Rochester and the 585 community. From transformative stories to big ideas, we celebrate the people making our community a better place to live, work, and thrive. So sit back, relax, and listen to what makes the 585 sound terrific.
Hello, welcome to That Sounds Terrific in the 585 with Nick Koziel and Christine Green. Today we have Mike Loete today, and he's going to tell us about all kinds of cool things that he's doing in the community here in Rochester and beyond. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate being here, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to both of you.
Yes, this is wonderful. Before we dive in, I want to talk a lot about all the different things you're doing in the community, particularly with the rowing. But let's just start right at the beginning. Tell our audience and our listeners just your elevator pitch. Who are you, Mike?
Sure. Well, my name is Mike. I was born and raised here in Rochester, never left. Love Rochester. And I went to school in the Greece area, went to Greece Athena.
Okay.
And went to school locally, went to Roberts Wesleyan and also to St. John Fisher. Received my EDD, which is educational doctorate in executive leadership through St. John Fisher, and I work at UnitedHealthcare as a contract manager.
Very cool, very cool. I'm working on my EDD as well, so.
Oh, nice.
Wish I was done, but I'm like barely started.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
You'll get there,
Yeah.
Nick.
But no,
It's
Mike. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
It's a long journey. What school are you going to?
So Warner School at U of R.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So we're that's kind of where I work. So it's tuition gets paid for, so that's cool.
That is always cool, right?
Right. In this day in particular. But Mike was saying something kind of off the air that he compared us to the getaway guy, which I thought was very, very nice of him.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. I wanted to thank that compliment publicly. But Mike, yeah. So can you tell us a little bit more? You're very involved. Like Christine said, there's a lot of things going on. So what do you want to start with first?
Sure. So I'd like to start with my journey through learning new things, and that kind of turned into how I wanted to step into the community a little bit. So a while back, I was an adult learner in college, so going to university, Roberts Wesleyan University and St. John Fisher University as an older person, as an older student, I guess you can say, really whet my appetite for, what is out there in the world to learn. You're learning all new concepts, learning all new ideas, and learning new people and what they do, and it kind of ignites a fire. And what I learned from that was, what can I do to keep learning? So the first thing I did was learn how to skate and play hockey, as an adult, and it was challenging but doable, and I felt that through that experience, empowering myself, but also empowering others to learn how to play and learn how to captain, learn how to lead, was very rewarding. And once I got a taste of that, it's like, what can I do for the community outside of people who, may need help and not just want help? So really looked to see who was out there, and I stumbled on ROCCREW, which was named 90s at the time. And ROCCREW really helps people who have either cancer currently or have survived cancer, and gives them an opportunity to meet others who have also survived cancer and to get a little exercise. And from there, kind of caught wind that I'm looking to do extracurricular things like that. And a friend who I played fantasy football with said, "Hey, I just started a company called Person-Centered Housing Options. Why don't you come explore our organization?" And I did. And after several meetings, they asked me to be a part of the board. So Person-Centered Housing Options is a place that's in Rochester, Monroe County specifically, and they help people who are homeless have opportunities to not just get sheltered, but learn how to stay sheltered and learn how to, really be self-sufficient, finances, job, and how to interact without becoming homeless again. Giving them the empowering them with the resources. So
absolutely,
yeah. So it's a fun journey.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about. Do you personally ever get to work one-on-one with the unhoused people that come for services to the organization?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of interaction with the the people, the owners, I guess you would call them, of the organization. So I don't have a whole lot of interaction because that's out in the field, and usually when that
Sure.
when I'm in board meetings and it's in a place that's outside of some of the homes and everything.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, we have some guests. It'll be an episode probably released before yours that we just haven't released yet as of the time of this recording. We were talking about the housing challenges just in general, like Rochester itself has a housing shortage, and so when you have people that are on a pretty firm foundation as it is in their own lives, having struggled to find affordable housing. I can't imagine what the unhoused are going through and trying to find that foundation and footing. Can you talk a little bit more about like what the organization does and how they help and support?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So the organization is out in the community looking. They get tips when somebody is homeless and in need of a home or food or shelter, or just need to get off the street, in one way or another. The organization has its own. Not only do they have its own housing, but they also have deals with other housing, like apartment complexes and some other homes, and that allows the opportunity for that person who is looking for a place to come and stay. And so it's not always just one apartment place, but it could be several apartments in one building, or it could be like a group home setting, somewhere where it would be safe for the person to come in, safe for the people who are safe for other people who are living there,
Mm-hmm.
coming in. But it's not always just somebody needs a house. Sometimes it's somebody has a problem. It could be a drug problem or something of that nature.
Yeah.
And there's a program to explore, is this program right for this person, and what can the program do to help the person go through rehab, or get into a position where they no longer are in that position that they're in.
Sure. Oh, go on, Nick.
I was just going to say that one of the other challenges that I've noticed, I went through Leadership Rochester, and they brought in a number of people talking about this issue in particular, is that sometimes the support system of the people that are, the unhomed that are maybe living in tent cities or things like that, they don't want to leave those areas because they have a community that they've built with people looking out for them. And then they get placed into other places where they don't know anybody. They're already feeling kind of, unstable and stuff. So I guess, I mean, you said, how does someone fit into the program you're describing? Like, what are the details, I guess, that the people need to kind of have to kind of get placed or be a part of this?
Sure. I mean, they would have to, get along with other people. I think that's the most important. There's several times where somebody comes into the program and, they may have, a drug problem, and it's the program's not right for that person at that time. So, there might be another time that's right for the person. But some of the qualifications is, are they healthy enough to sustain the program, or do they need help, that is beyond housing? Are they stable enough without a drug problem, or with a drug problem sometimes, to come into a housing and sustain and not interrupt others who may also be living there? And it would be somebody who is willing to take care, take the care that's given to them. So, there's, like a social worker would come in and speak to this person. So, and help them, get them up and running, and get them opportunities to get a job, or they may have job placement for this person. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the other side of it, is that a lot of times there's resistance from the community, thinking that like the people, just like you said, they might not be, at a place in their life where they can support themselves. And
Yeah.
people are worried about like, the drug aspect, or, having, your neighbor be somebody that is just a little bit unlike you, right? So it's good to know that programs exist where they're evaluating that and they're providing the support that this person needs, because it helps not only that person but the community.
Yeah,
Understand.
it's a ripple, right? Like
Mhm.
Nick was saying. Does the organization help solely individuals, or do families get involved, children? If someone comes and is like, my whole family is living in my car right now, or you
Mhm.
know, how do you manage that? How does the organization manage these kinds of more complicated situations where maybe there's multiple people involved?
sure, it's usually individuals. So if there are families, there's other programs that can help
Yeah.
through
Mhm.
the whole family, especially kids. So when it comes time to really help kids, that's a unique scope
Yeah.
that sometimes could be outside of the scope of PCHO.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And how many years have you been with, I'm sorry if you've said this before, with PCHO?
So I want to say it's 3 years, maybe 4 years now. Um, it's been a few years now. It was after the pandemic, but it was after we could take off our masks. So somewhere around that time frame,
Yeah, which is,
Yeah.
who can remember anymore? It's like such a,
right?
oh God, it's just trauma for everyone, right? Um, what has, so I know you said you're not necessarily one-on-one or on the street with the unhoused population that PCHO works with, but how has being on the board, if at all, changed you and how you work or look at other people in the community? How has it
Mhm. Good question.
been incorporated into your life more than just another task you have to do and another meeting you have to go to? What has it done for you on a personal level?
Sure. That's a great question. And I think it's like when you're aware of things, and I think that's what it really did, was create awareness. I usually drive around, Lake Ave and 104 area, and there's usually a person there that's and seemingly homeless, or seemingly looking for cash or food, or whatever the case is. And before I joined the organization, you have a certain mindset of, oh, why doesn't that person just you know get a job? And I think that dismissive attitude was something that was not something I was proud of, or something that I would admit to at the time, but it really was an attitude that I had. And becoming part of the organization really helped me to say, why am I viewing the person like this, and what is there to help these people get out of the situation that they're in, or is there anything that can help this person? And that really helped change my mindset of, you know, there's help for these people. You can't just, for me, I was saying to myself, I can't just ignore them, or pretend not to see them when I'm sitting at a red light and they're asking for help. It's there is help. It doesn't mean that I have to personally help them or bring them into my car, but I have to, it's almost an ethical duty to say, or a moral duty to say there is places, and give them the resources, or bring the resources to that person.
Yeah.
So that's where my mindset changed.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that because I think it's in one sense it seems like an old-fashioned idea. Oh, why don't they just get a job? We've been hearing that for years, and it's so pervasive. But when you really talk to the population that is suffering in this way, it is very obvious that there's so much more nuance, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe there's a
Yeah.
health issue, maybe there's a mental health issue, maybe I used to volunteer at a local place, Dimitri House, serving lunch, and the eye opening was big. You see, like you said, you see these these people on the street, and you're like, well, what's going on? But then they come in and there's loneliness, maybe there's no family, right? We like to say that would never happen to us, but I've actually met people who were like really good jobs, really supportive family, and yet. So we're all one step away from being in those shoes. So I love that had, I went through, I understand that change, and I love that perspective has shifted for you, right? We have to shift more of that mindset in the community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just going to throw one other thing in there. Not an expert, but just seeing, just for, you forget when you're in a position and you have a job and all that stuff, and a home, you forget the simple things. All right. So like as simple as when you apply for a job, what is one of the first things they ask for besides your name? Permanent address. Well, what are you supposed to put in there, right? If you don't have a permanent address, and it like that alone can prevent you from getting things like your license if you've lost it, any kind of, aid or help. You can't get your kids in school, like all those different things cascade. And so like, I'm going to let you respond to things too, Mike, but it's just like, I think that one of the things that I had learned when learning about this, societal issue is that we take a lot of things for granted that we're not even thinking about, but the whole system is sort of set up around having a physical residence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. And kind of wrapping into that, I mean, it could be a traumatic issue that helped somebody to become on the street, or aided somebody that, to spin into a place where now they're homeless. They may have had a home at one point, and now they don't. And like you said, if you don't have a permanent address, how do you apply for a job? But even in the healthcare industry, so I work in a contracting where we do accountable care organizations. So we're reviewing groups of physicians and measuring them on, accountability and affordability. And one of the things that I hear is, there's a specific population that's bringing our numbers down, and that's a transient population. And that's kind of a buzzword for homeless people, right? So if you don't know any better and you hear transient population, you may not put two and two together and say, oh, these are the homeless that they're helping because they have an obligation to help them. But they're also getting measured on them, and they don't want to be, they don't want to lose money or opportunities because of that. And, from a financial perspective, it's hard to blame them for thinking that way. But from a human perspective, it's hard to hear, and it's hard to digest. But it's very real. And it's very real. And I do have to say that UnitedHealth has sponsored PCHO for their galas, and part of UnitedHealth is getting some of the social determinants of health incorporated into the contract. And social determinants of health, if you don't know what it is, it's kind of like the pyramid of needs, or the Maslow's pyramid of help me out here. The pyramid of
all I can think of is the food pyramid.
Yeah, as soon as you said pyramid,
that's what got stuck in my head.
Well, is it? It's just the story of my life. Sorry, it's snack time. What's it called? Pyramid something? We don't know.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah. Well, while you're thinking about that, I mean,
Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, there you go.
When I say the pyramid of needs, the hierarchy of needs. Yeah. So think of it as your basic need is shelter, food, water, and so the social determinants of health addresses that. So if you don't have those basic needs, then how can you be healthy? And the one example that one of the physicians had shared with me was, imagine somebody who comes in and are malnutrition, and they make just a little bit of money, just enough to stay fed, and then they also gain a lot of weight, and they start their blood, their blood labs come back, and they may have higher sugars and stuff, and the doctor says, well, how is this happening? It's like, well, I go to the dollar store and buy cookies, and that's what I'm living on is cookies from the dollar store. So you can imagine that if you don't have the means to stay fed,
or access.
Right, or access. What does it what happens to your health, and how do you sustain, a healthy lifestyle, or a lifestyle that's outside of, being unhealthy, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's so easy to forget that, we might run, I think if I run to the dollar store, right, to get wrapping paper or some goofy stocking stuffers, but it is a really good reminder. And I've talked to other people who have said the same thing. Like, these stores, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, all those little, you're having a population of people who, like you said, are feeding families on what they can buy on the shelf or in the freezer. And it's all a cascade, like you say. Like, there's no just one simple solution. And I think it is really important, and it sounds like PCHO is doing this, is to look, like you said, the whole person. And I brought up that pyramid that you mentioned, and it's one of those things where I'm looking at, and the first base is physiological needs, right? You have to survive, and then above that you have safety needs, where you have to know your security, right? That you're safe, you can lock your door or your apartment, or you're with a family. Then you have love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. So obviously I'm reading this off a Wikipedia page, so I'm no expert. But to be able to support people enough so that they can get to those base levels, so that they can get to the point where they're self-esteem, where they're loved, where they're able to get loved. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I sound really cornball, but it's true. Like, that's how you're a human being. We're not just here to sleep and eat and work. We have to love and be in community. And that's a really important part of the picture.
Right, because you can't get to the next level without achieving the first level. So I mean, it's just a simple thing. You don't have food, you can't get to places where you feel secure, and then you can't get a place of feeling, love and acceptance and so on.
It goes back to the comment I meant about the communities, like the 10 communities and the places where the unhoused are living together, because they built that community where there is, hey, when I leave, someone's going to watch my stuff, and then if the police come or someone come to clear the area, that everything they have is gone, right? That support structure, and they're all scattered. But it's like it all is different levels, and there's micro levels between those levels of comfort, right? So when you have the Dollar Tree, you have the dollar store and stuff, yes, they sell items like cookies and things like that, and that's not very self-sustaining, but it might be the only store you can get to. When you're trying to get assistance and support, a lot of times, I mean, there's a big effort here in Rochester to get them all into one building, one area, but like, if you don't have a house, you often don't have transportation. And if you need to go this place to get, food stamps, and then this place to prove that you need food stamps, and you need to go over here to get this, it could take up to like the whole day trying to get all these things, filled out. And a lot of times you'll run around right back to the other office that you just left because they needed to do this form. So these biases, like when you look at someone, you're already against them on something. Like you have and you may not show that, right? But you're already assuming a lot of things that are going on with them. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, before you make those decisions, like, just because you're unhoused and you're having challenges right now, that person in front of you, is a wife that may have left an abusive husband, is, a person that lost their job and was supporting a family and got kicked out. There's so many different things that lead to that. And I like what you're saying, Mike, that you don't necessarily have to be the one to give them the $5 or whatever you think you're going to try to do to support them. You can lead them to those support services that are available to them. So are there cards? Are there things? What do you do? Like, when you find someone, like, how do we get them in contact with, these services?
Yeah. So normally it's, if you see somebody who needs assistance, it's as simple as calling PCHO, and we're working on getting, some materials out there so it can be widely available. But it's just a matter of reporting it, and the county, is also on board with, finding some of these places like PCHO, and guiding the members to where they could get help. So it's just a matter of, reporting it, and chances are it's already been reported when you see somebody who's homeless, but the reality is, it's isn't. So are you going to be the first person or the second person or the last person, right, to report it? So it's just as simple as knowing what the number is, and there's, like I said, it's calling the county, calling PCHO, and getting that down. That's a part that's kind of murky for a lot of people, and it's still murky for a lot of us board members of, why isn't that number out there, like on every phone poll, that you see, so people have access to it. And that's not a question I have an answer for.
Yeah, that's a good point. It definitely is a good point.
We'll definitely make sure in our show notes and at the end of the episode that we'll give you time to give the website and everything so that community members can find PCHO.
Sure.
And not to take a totally left turn, but it's still an important one that I want to talk about is ROCCREW. Yeah. I don't know much about rowing, except that I live in Brockport, and this is a huge issue right now. Maybe you've heard about it. So out in Brockport, we have a boathouse that the village government is just shut down. And the idea was that it was going to bring rowing to create a more equitable area for people to learn rowing at all price points and even free. But what ROCCREW does, and so that we're dealing with that there. So I've been hearing a lot about crew and rowing. So when I saw your email come through, I was really fascinated. How did this all get started? And just tell us about ROCCREW.
Yeah. So, it started way back in 2009. It was part of, I believe it was part of Camp Good Days, and it spun out to its own thing, which was called UnitedHealthcare Oncology Rowing. And so for many years, it was a rowing company named UnitedHealthcare Oncology Rowing, which is a mouthful. and actually, a lot of people, when they hear UnitedHealthcare Oncology Rowing, they would say, is this a doctor's office, or does it have anything to do with oncology?
Very formal.
It is. But, the flip side of that coin is that the people who founded UnitedHealthcare were very passionate about the name. They were very adamant that the name stayed, or the name at least had some sort of resemblance, if we were to change the name. So we did change the name eventually, but it took quite a while to kind of get a lot of buy-in to get that name changed. But kind of going back to what ROCCREW does, is it provides rowing for people who are cancer survivors or have cancer, or currently have cancer. And one of the elements that ROCCREW does is brings people in to meet other people like them. So people who are survivors may feel very isolated, or may feel, when you're sick, you kind of feel a certain way, or when you're getting over sick. And I'm not a cancer survivor myself, so I can only imagine what it feels like to feel, the way after surviving that, or having chemotherapy, or getting current treatments, and not wanting the world to find out, or feeling a certain way about it. But it creates a sense of unity amongst the survivors of that type. And it's not just one cancer, it's all cancers. So I hear a lot of companies and organizations, around town and maybe even nationally, they're, specific to one type of cancer, breast cancer or whatever the case is. But this is open to any type of cancer survivor, and male, female, what have you. It's open to anybody.
What kind do people who get involved as the cancer survivor or person going through cancer treatments, do they have to have any sort of abilities with rowing at all? Or how do they, can just someone like me who's never done anything harder than a kayak do something like this?
Yeah, there's certain abilities that a person would have to have. They would have to have the ability to, row an oar. and sit down for, a period of time. So there are some people who can't do, under the current treatment, they can't row an oar without pain or fatigue or whatever the case is. But, as long as you can physically sit down in a boat and row an oar, you're more than welcome to, anyone is welcome to join. And there's a Learn to Row program that ROCCREW offers. So the Learn to Row program is exactly what it sounds like. If you've never rowed before, if you don't know rowing, for a person like myself who's never rowed, I didn't know the first thing about it when I heard about it. So how do you break into rowing? Who rows? Like I couldn't tell you, like at the time, I couldn't tell you one or two people who rowed, because I grew up in Greece. We didn't have a boathouse nearby. It just seemed like it was a very elite, it seems very elite. It seems very, that you got to really look for, how to enter the arena, so to speak, to get into that. And what ROCCREW does is kind of opens those doors. So, the first impression is it's rowing. It's going to cost a ton of money. And it really doesn't. If you can't afford rowing, if you can't afford the program, ROCCREW does have a grant program to, help you to afford the rows, for whether you buy all the row together or you do one row at a time. But they do have a Learn to Row program that gets you up and running. And the idea is, if you really like it, you can become more of a competitive rower, which there's a group of competitive rowers, and they actually just did the Head of the Charles last year, which is like the Grand Prix of regattas. So, it's very proud to see where it went from like a couple person program to a full scale operation.
Do you get in the boat? Do you row?
I don't fit yet. I still got to do a little bit of dieting before I can fit in the boat.
Yeah, I'd probably be out as well.
How do people get involved? Are they recommended by a doctor? Do they seek you out? What is the outreach like so that you can find people who might be interested?
Yeah, outreach was one of our biggest challenges in the beginning, because, we would leave like business cards or postcards in oncology offices and hope that, somebody would pick it up and understand that, read it and understand that if they're going through cancer treatments or they had gone through cancer treatments, that we're open to helping people out who want to row. And then you have to say to yourself, do the people want to row? And if they never rowed before, how do you get them in? So, really outreaching was difficult. So what we've done is we've really tried to make more of an effort to be out in the public. Like we do the Red Wings a couple times a year. So we'll go to the Red Wings. We'll do a table during the Cancer Survivor Night, which is headed by the U of R, I believe. And so there's lots of tables there that are specific to cancer survivors, and ROCCREW is now one of those tables in there. Actually, 2 years ago, we threw the first pitch out, for Cancer Survivor Night, and I think that helped put us on the map. We also do things like the Breast Cancer Coalition. They do a walk, so we got involved with that. And we get involved with other organizations around town to help air and get our name out there. And through that, it's more organic to help to find people who would want to row and who fit the description of a person that would be accepted into the program through that word of mouth. Worked a lot better than just the postcards at the oncology office.
Yeah. How many people? I guess it could be this question currently. How many cancer survivors or cancer patients are participating in ROCCREW?
I believe the number was 40.
That's a good number.
Yeah, which came up quite a bit from a few years ago. So, when I first joined, we didn't have a lot of rowers, and it was the pandemic. So, they were making the best of it. There was ergs, which means you can row in place, almost like an exercise bike, but it's a rower.
Yeah.
That kept the people in the organization. But I believe there's around 40. And we're almost at the point where, if we keep growing, do we have enough resources to, do we have enough boats? Do we have enough volunteers to help with the program? And, we're prepping ourselves so we do.
Where do you guys meet? Where's the boathouse that you guys leave from?
It's at GWC in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Yeah. So the boat launches out of there. We have 3 boats in the boathouse, and each one of our boats has names on the side. So there was a Spirit Foundation where if you knew a cancer survivor, you knew somebody who had passed away from cancer, you could buy a spot on the boat and put their name on there. So each boat has a series of names on there. They're completely full right now, so we're looking for more, opportunities for people to put names, on the oars or elsewhere to really help with, to get their name out there, but also to help finance the program.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. Oh, my dog! Can you guys hear her barking? No. I'm so sorry. Okay.
No, I can't. But this is the episode of interruptions, Mike. I'm sorry.
I want to yell at her, but
it's all good. I fear my cat would have jumped on my lap. My cat likes to jump and join me in meetings, but he's apparently being well behaved today.
My sons do that for meetings and stuff with me too. So it was like,
two twins pop up.
Yeah, they just pop up, and then I was commenting on a previous episode that I need like an on the air sign, and even then my one son would still come in, be like, I know you're on the air, but I just had a question. Can I have ketchup on my sandwich? Be like, it's the most random thing, has nothing to do with anything. Of course you're gonna ketchup on your sandwich.
Yeah, but I have a post-it on my office door right now. I'm at home, and obviously my dog can't read. So.
Yeah, what the heck?
Don't come and be quiet, everybody.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have any stories that you can share of maybe how rowing has helped any particular person, survivor, or cancer patient that's gone through the program? Has anyone in particular come through that has such an interesting story that it stuck with you?
I mean, there's lots of stories. I'm trying to think of one that really stuck out to me lately. Can we come back?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So many of them. I want to make sure I'm not combining the story.
Yes, of course.
I mean, that could be an inspiration in itself. Like there's there's like a few stories that really come together. I mean, I totally get it. One of the things I was going to say was when you first said, we put postcards in the doctor's offices, and I was just thinking about your name, like ROCCREW, and like it kind of sounds like a place where you'd be like, all right, we're going to move this pile of rocks as a crew over to here.
I was thinking it sounded like ROCCREW was like a band or something.
Well, I mean, yeah, and like
it would be pretty awesome.
We in Rochester love to rename things with the ROC in front of it, and call it rock whatever, and but it's funny because I was pretty old. I was an older teenager. I remember hearing about my friends that, I'm going to this college and they're giving me a crew scholarship, and I'm like, what's crew? I'm like, theater crew. Like I was thinking about all the crews that I was involved with and knew, and I just could not figure out what they're saying. And I'm like, it's rowing? You call that crew?
Right.
So it is stuck as like really deep within me now that crew is rowing and everything. And like Christine said, I really admire what you're trying to do. And it's great that you're sort of like, your program's kind of full, but then that's a challenge in itself, right? Right. How many more people can we get? How many other naming opportunities can we have to increase our funding and stuff? So, and if you do want to get involved as a supporter, then I urge you to kind of reach out to Mike and talk to him about ways that your company or you can help support this effort. I mean, maybe there's someone who has a boat that they want to get rid of, and it's another opportunity for you.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one thing that as the board we're really getting together we get together quite often, like monthly, but then we have other meetings that we get together as committees and everything. So, when I was asked to lead the organization, it came to me that, are we in a place that we have a strategy in place where, in the next 3 years, we're going to know where we're headed and have enough people to really contain that. And we didn't. We were kind of like running off the cuff, and it was relatively new, and I think it worked for the time that time. But as we grew, it was clear that we needed a structure and a strategy. And like you said, do we have enough people? And that's what we're doing right now. Is we're getting the pipeline full of committee members and board members, because there's no employees at the company. It's all volunteer based. So we want to make sure that people are in place and have a rich history of what ROCCREW is and what it does, so that when it comes time for that person to sit in the committee chair or sit in the committee lead chair or president's chair, that they know exactly what it is that they need to do and exactly where we are at any given point. Plus, do we have enough people, and is there people signed up, to help coach? It's one thing that not only does ROCCREW have a need for, but I know the other rowing companies around the area, there's a lack of coaches in coxswains. So you can't just tell someone to coach. You need them to be certified and to be up and running and really know what they're doing to put them in that chair. So it's a need not just for ROCCREW, but for the community, and that's been a challenge.
Definitely. And I know there are, as in general, there is kind of a movement in the area to take crew off of this kind of elite pedestal, that like there are programs that are less expensive or free, or there's all kinds of ways to kind of break into that sport. I saw on your website, this will come out probably after the event, but you have a annual golf fundraiser, is that correct, for ROCCREW? Tell us a little bit about that and any other fundraisers that you guys are doing for ROCCREW or PCHO. Did I say that right? Yeah.
Yeah. So PCHO, we just went through. We had a gala a couple weeks ago. So the gala took place at Artisan Works, and it started 3 or 4 years ago as a garden party. So it's by invite only, and we have people come and speak. A couple years ago we had the mayor. Last year we might have had the mayor come, and this year we had a couple from News 10 come and speak. It was great. Raised a lot of money, create a lot of awareness, and something so embedded like Artisan Works, to have the people come and really interact with was special. So that was a lot of fun. I don't know when the next fundraiser is off the top of my head, or if there's a date set for the next fundraiser, but I can probably email it over to you when we have it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that's still in development right now of the dates. So they usually do like things like at the house guitars and stuff. They'll have like a band come out and play or whatever. But that's usually something that they plan like a month in advance. So I'll send you what we have. But for ROCCREW, the golf tournament is coming up in full force. It's August 10th, and it's at Lima Country Club. And as of today, I believe they had 10 teams enrolled, which I think last year we had 15 teams. So we're almost to what we had last year. I'm sure we'll exceed, because at the last minute we get like 5 or 6 or 7 teams just kind of push at the very end. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun. It's a shotgun start and then best ball. Lima Country Club, and they do a great job. So I'll share the website at the end, but there's a registration if anybody's interested. And like you said, it may even be, by the time this airs, it may already have happened. But
it probably will. But it's good for our listeners to know, because all this stuff keeps happening, right? You're going to have another golf fundraiser. You're going to have another gala for PCHO. So it is important that they know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, Nick, do you have other questions? I wanted to ask Mike a little bit about himself outside of these organizations. Let me just
go right into it. That's good.
Mike, before we're at like 3:50, so we're butting up against the end, and we want to make sure our listeners know a little bit about you on a personal level. We won't get too crazy here, but obviously you said you grew up here, you went to school here. What is it that you play hockey? Nick plays hockey.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Hockey guys. I don't play hockey, but I know. I was
going to ask where you play.
That's where you.
Way out in Scottsville.
Oh, really? That's what night? Because I do that sometimes Tuesday nights with a crew there.
Okay. Yeah, we play Sundays. So I founded the Ice Pirates. So we have we have teams all over the place. I don't know if you've heard of us, but
I have. It's just I've been concentrating more on my twins, like they're playing, and then we have girls that are playing field hockey, so it's been crazy. So my hockey's always secondary now.
It takes the back seat.
Right? Yeah. So I'll have to talk to you more about that off the air, but that's really cool. I'm glad that you started something up like that.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I first started playing, I did the Never Ever League.
Mm-hmm.
We were the second Never Ever League to come out. The first Never Ever League to come out, the guy that came out of it as the captain was Duffy from CMF, and he took his team. Yeah, he took his team and plugged them into like the Bill Gray's at the time. Now it's Tim Hortons. Plugged them right into the adult league, and just got wasted, just got crushed. Sure. So when we came out, he came to me. For whatever reason, they wanted me to lead the team. Named them the Ice Pirates because that was the first movie I saw as a kid.
Mm-hmm. And
we put one team together, and Duffy came together and said, "Why don't we start this E-League?" So, it's like a team that people who are just coming out of the Never Ever League can play against one another. And, started, to me, that was my introduction to adult league hockey. But it sounds like there was just kind of a rush of people that didn't know how to break into the sport, kind of like the ROCCREW people don't know how to break into rowing until you find other people who have. And it seemed like a lot of people were going through the program and then getting placed into teams like the Ice Pirates or the Shooters or what have you. So it was really cool. It was very rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah, I love playing. I was a late bloomer too. I mean, really, I played roller as a teen and then started playing ice. I mean, really, really playing ice when I was in college. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, very cool.
You'd be too good for our league.
All right. Well, let's not judge my skill without seeing me play.
I have no idea. I'm sure you guys are all.
We'll have Christine play. We'll have you come out.
It looks like fun, but also I'm old and I've got joint issues. So.
Oh, me too.
You fit right in.
Right?
Everybody old and have joint issues. Everyone would be like, wait, I can't fall over my back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. My orthopedic doctor might not love it. Mike, and we have some questions.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you want to ask?
Yeah, sure. This is one of our new segments that hasn't even made it to a show yet. But we're doing our, 5 terrific things in the 585. So ask you about a couple questions around Rochester. So some might be really simple and some might be a little tough. But what's your favorite place to eat?
My favorite place to eat in Rochester is the Charborough House down by the lake. So I worked there when I was a kid. I'd wash dishes when I was 14.
Awesome.
Nostalgia embedded in it, right?
Oh, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a great place.
And then let's see, what would be something if, someone's coming to the 585 Rochester for the first time? What would be the one experience that you say you just can't miss it?
Oh boy, yeah. I would have to say if they were not a vegetarian, to go get a garbage plate.
Yeah.
There's veggie plates.
There are veggie plates. Oh, okay, so I guess either way, get a garbage plate or go to a Red Wings game. Downtown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. What's a hidden gem for the 585 for you? Someplace that you would again sort of suggest to go and check out?
Hidden gem. There is so many hidden gems, but I didn't realize the Fox House was downtown.
Cool.
And the Fox House being a paranormal activity, like the original. I think it was the first time it was documented that there's paranormal activity in a home was the Fox House.
Oh, okay.
The Fox Sisters. Yeah,
the Fox Sisters and Fox House. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our other show. That sounds terrifying.
Yeah. Did you know Nick does that? Sounds terrifying. I sometimes make an appearance.
Yeah.
Every.
Oh, you do that? That's incredible.
You didn't know that? Yeah. You should listen to that. Rate and review.
It's the yang and of our yin here. So. Yeah, we'll have to get you on that show too.
We're pretty straight over here, and then it's a little goofier over there. It's
right?
Terrifying. What are the other questions? I can't remember now.
Okay. If what's a favorite coffee shop?
Sips down in Irondequoit.
Okay.
Stutson Plaza. They call it the Stutson Plaza still? I'm not sure, but
I don't know.
Yeah. To look into that one for sure. Cool. And then I guess the last one would be is there a favorite event here in Rochester or festival that you love to go to that you just can't miss?
Yeah, the Fringe Fest to me is a lot of fun, and that kind of loops back to the question of hidden gems. I outside of the Fox Sisters, I'd say Vertex. I frequent Vertex, and although it's kind of a whisper that because you don't want to get too many people there because it's almost
it's got to stay hidden.
Yeah, but I think it's a hidden gem, kind of a place.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we talking about? Vertex? What's this?
Vertex. It's a goth nightclub.
I've heard of this. So is it fun? Do you guys love it? You guys have been there?
I've heard of it, have not been.
For anybody who likes 80s and 90s music or industrial music, that's a place to go to listen to it. But there's lots of things to do. It's cheap drinks. It's a good crowd, and it's not a crowd that you can't just go to and dress in everyday clothes and feel uncomfortable. It's just a kind of a fun place to go if you like 80s and 90s music.
Okay, and now I have heard of it, but I don't know. I get all nervous when it talks about clubs and stuff. I'm too old for this. Gen X, man.
We'll have to check it out. You're not.
Oh my joints! I can't play hockey.
Yeah.
I can't stay out late and go to clubs. I mean, if they open at 4 and close at 8, that would be great.
We'll play hockey and then we'll go to the club afterwards. So you can have
I'll
some
never
drinks
survive. I'll never survive that.
So, well, Mike, thanks again for coming on our show and talking to us about all the things you're doing. We'll definitely have ways to contact Mike and these organizations in the show notes. And just thanks for being a terrific light here in the 585.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to meet both of you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I think these are kind of charitable hidden gems you've talked to us about, because I didn't know really anything about PCHO or ROCCREW at all until you reached out to us, and I'm so glad you did, because I think they're both so important in our community. So thank you for the work you're doing with them. With your volunteer work. We need more volunteers in this community.
Yeah, fantastic. And I would say that 585 magazine is like, if I didn't read through it, I would have no idea that half the things exist in Rochester. But they just helped to uncover a lot of those really cool, really specific places that, are really hard to find, unless you really look for it. And I'm glad I stumbled on because I was able to get in touch with both of you.
Yeah.
Yay, awesome. Another 585 reader. We got to keep reading print, you guys. So
I love it. I can't wait to get the I can't wait to get my magazine every month. Or is it every month or every quarter or whatever?
Every 2 months. Yeah, every 2 months it comes out. Yay, you got to come to one of our happy hours or launch parties. Everyone's invited.
Yeah, I was supposed to be out there the last launch party, and I ended up getting asked to play hockey. So.
Well, hockey party. I get it. Come to the next one.
Yeah, sure. We'll see you there.
All right, take care. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of That Sounds Terrific in the 585. Check out our website, www.thatsoundsterrific.com, to see a full list of episodes and learn more about our hosts, Nick Koziel and Christine Green. Be sure to find us on your favorite social media platforms or podcast listening service by searching That Sounds Terrific, and feel free to give us a 5-star rating if you enjoy our show. Until next time.